You could have easily not my job, and I've been here for 10 years. I took your job 10 years ago. I'm still sitting here. It's fine. And I came back 10 years later, didn't I? Yeah, but you're a friend. As a friend. Shannon, it's still a job. You're a friend. It's your career. We just wasn't. I've been on TV for 15 years, Shannon. 5 different shows. You're a TV star. So that works out. But, when you have personalities that are just a little bit more clashy, then it's hard. And we've been divorced now almost like 3.5 or 4 years. So it should 3.5, I think. So it should get, 3, like 3-2, I don't know, something around there. But it should be getting easier, and it does each day, but it's definitely a work in progress. What makes a Real Housewife unforgettable for Alexis Bellino? It isn't just the luxury or the drama. It's the controversies that refuse to fade. From being mocked for her faith to facing public scrutiny over her marriage, lawsuits, and explosive relationships, Alexis has remained a lightning rod long after leaving RHOC. Her story isn't polished or pretty. It's chaotic, complicated, and unforgettable. Here's first-hand information. Carlos King, I am not asked back next season. No, I am not asked back. I did not. How'd you find out? A phone call with which I have a very good relationship with him. Alex Baskin, obviously he's my boss. But yeah, and it was a hard conversation. It didn't, I can't say it came as a shock. I was going to say it came as a shock. It did not come as a shock. The timing, because it was like noon in the afternoon, I guess I wasn't really prepared, and I didn't think contracts were coming out anytime. Like I thought we still had more time. Every housewife has that one moment etched into Bravo history, the line, the fight, or the insult that fans never forget. For Alexis Bellino, that moment came when Tamara Barney, later Tamara Judge, branded her with the nickname Jesus Jugs during a heated reunion. It was crude, cutting, and instantly controversial. The insult wasn't just about Alexis's breast augmentation. It mocked the way she wore her Christian faith on her sleeve while simultaneously embracing cosmetic enhancements and glamorous outfits. Tamara's words hit like a grenade. Fans either laughed at the outrageous nickname or cringed at how personal and degrading it was. Alexis, however, was left shaken. What had been framed as a playful jab became a label that followed her for years. I have to say one of mine, which really isn't something you did, but Tamara calling you Jesus Jugs. It started as Jesus Barbie, right? And then I was getting all this. I had people sending me Jesus Barbie t-shirts and asking me if I wanted to start a line with them for the t-shirt line Jesus Barbie, and then the next show, or at the reunion after that, she then turned it into Jesus Jugs. Supporters agreed, calling out Tamara for crossing a line. Critics, though, used the moment to highlight what they saw as Alexis's contradictions, professing devotion to God while chasing attention and flaunting a lifestyle of excess. The Jesus Jugs controversy became more than a petty insult. It became a cultural flashpoint. Could a devout Christian thrive on a reality show built on scandal, conflict, and extravagance? Was Alexis a victim of bullying? Or was she hypocritical in the way she presented herself? Are you kidding me? You are psychotic, Jesus. You're psychotic. Jesus Jugs, when everybody around you is telling you that you're a nasty person, your husband is nasty. You don't like him, so why don't you like him? Really? Because we're having a birthday party in Napa and everyone that likes him is coming. And so, obviously, people. Alexis Bellino's identity on The Real Housewives of Orange County was tightly woven into her marriage to businessman Jim Bellino. From the moment viewers met them, Jim was portrayed as the provider, while Alexis often described herself as a traditional wife committed to raising their children and supporting her husband. On the surface, their relationship seemed like a picture of stability, big homes, luxury cars, expensive vacations. But beneath the gloss, speculation began to swirl. Fans and castmates alike questioned Jim's business dealings. He owned trampoline parks, restaurants, and other ventures, but rumors spread that lawsuits, financial troubles, and questionable contracts trailed close behind. This gave birth to whispers that the Bellinos' lavish lifestyle might be more fragile than it appeared. On Bravo blogs and social media, critics accused Alexis of projecting wealth while ignoring the cracks in the foundation. Her castmates didn't help matters. During group scenes, some openly suggested that Alexis was financially dependent on Jim to the point of losing her individuality. Others accused her of putting on an act, flaunting opulence to maintain her spot on the show. Alexis defended her marriage fiercely, often breaking down in tears when her loyalty or authenticity was challenged. Yet controversy continued to follow the couple. Whether it was unpaid debts being reported in tabloids, lawsuits tied to Jim's businesses, or simple fan skepticism, the Bellinos couldn't escape scrutiny. For Alexis, this meant her role on the show became less about who she was and more about what people believed about her marriage. In 2018, Alexis and Jim Bellino shocked fans by announcing the end of their 13-year marriage. For years, Alexis had defended her relationship as unshakable, often pushing back against castmates who accused her of living in denial. The divorce filing, citing irreconcilable differences, seemed to confirm what skeptics had long suggested: the fairy tale wasn't as perfect as Alexis had claimed. The separation quickly became more than a private matter. It was public fodder. Court documents revealed negotiations over spousal support and custody of their 3 children. The numbers alone, monthly support payments, property divisions, lifestyle expenses, were enough to spark endless chatter on Bravo blogs and gossip outlets. Fans debated whether Alexis had relied too heavily on Jim's financial backing, while others sympathized with her new reality as a single mother suddenly forced to redefine her independence. Well, I definitely don't think our marriage would have sustained it regardless of the show. I don't think Housewives was the reason, because I'd already been having feelings before Housewives that I was fighting back, and I was like, I can't, we've got to work this out. We were married 14 years, and in therapy the whole 14 years. So that tells you something. And I haven't been to one therapy session with Drew. We haven't had but 2 fights. So we're just meant to be together. We're more best friends and not oil and water. It's just... What made the divorce especially controversial was the timing. Around the same period, Jim was tied to legal battles over his business ventures and later launched his high-profile defamation lawsuit against fellow housewives. Though Alexis wasn't directly suing anyone, her name kept circling back into the headlines. That Jim and I would have made it, even if Housewives hadn't come about. It would have been me wanting to open my coffee shop that I've had a dream for, or There's just other things that I would have probably wanted to do that it would have caused a little bit of a... For Alexis, the aftermath was a balancing act. On one hand, she tried to reclaim her narrative, posting about strength, motherhood, and faith on social media. On the other, she was navigating whispers that she had built her image on a marriage that crumbled under scrutiny. Every move she made was dissected. Was she using the divorce for publicity? Was she finally free to show her authentic self? Or was she still chasing the Bravo spotlight that had fueled her controversies in the first place? Her divorce didn't close the book on drama. It opened a brand new chapter where Alexis had to prove she was more than just Jim Bellino's wife. Just months after Alexis and Jim Bellino finalized their divorce, her name was pulled back into Bravo's orbit, not because of a new season, but because of a lawsuit that grabbed headlines across the reality TV world. In 2018, Jim filed a $1 million defamation lawsuit against Shannon Beer and Tamara Judge, 2 of Alexis's longtime castmates on The Real Housewives of Orange County. The reason? Comments the women allegedly made during a live podcast appearance, questioning Jim's business dealings and the legitimacy of his trampoline parks. Almost instantly, Alexis was back in the controversy spotlight even though she wasn't the one suing. Fans speculated about her role. Was she quietly encouraging her ex-husband behind the scenes, or was she unfairly being lumped into a fight she had nothing to do with? Castmates didn't hesitate to blur that line. The case dragged on for years, eventually becoming a media circus. Shannon Beer was dismissed from the lawsuit in 2019, and a judge later ordered Jim to cover a large portion of her legal fees, more than $100,000. Tamara's side of the case also collapsed, with courts siding against Jim's claims. For Bravo fans, it was an emphatic loss that only amplified the perception that Jim had been grasping at straws. And Alexis, fairly or unfairly, was painted as guilty by association. The Jim Bellino defamation lawsuit became a defining controversy not only for Jim, but for Alexis. It blurred the lines between her personal and public life, keeping her entangled in drama she couldn't, or perhaps wouldn't, escape. While lawsuits and marriages played out off-camera, Alexis Bellino faced a different kind of controversy inside the world of the Real Housewives of Orange County. From almost the moment she joined the show, castmates accused her of being phony and inauthentic. The criticism came in many forms. Her love of designer labels was mocked as try-hard. Her attempts to break into acting, whether through hosting gigs, cameos, or auditions, were dismissed as delusional. Even her conversations about faith were twisted into proof that she was performing for the cameras. One of the most infamous confrontations came during the Season 7 reunion when Heather Dubrow bluntly told Alexis she was phony in front of the entire cast and a national audience. The accusation reduced Alexis to tears, but it also cemented her storyline. From that point forward, Alexis was often portrayed as the outsider, the woman trying too hard to fit in with Orange County's elite, never quite gaining their respect. On RHOC, image is everything. For Alexis, the battle to prove her authenticity was a controversy in itself, one that left lasting scars on how audiences remember her. Just when Alexis Bellino seemed to be distancing herself from Bravo drama, she re-entered the spotlight in the most explosive way possible, by dating John Jansen, the ex-boyfriend of fellow housewife Shannon Beer. For longtime fans, this wasn't just a new romance. It was a powder keg waiting to go off. John and Shannon had ended their 3-year relationship in 2022, only for Alexis to debut her connection with him not long after. The timing raised eyebrows, and the backlash was immediate. To Shannon and to many viewers, Alexis's involvement with John felt like betrayal by association. What might have been a private love story suddenly became another public scandal, fueled by Bravo cameras, tabloid headlines, and endless social media debates. Complicating matters even further was John's legal battle with Shannon. He had filed a $75,000 lawsuit against her over an alleged unpaid loan. The combination of Alexis stepping into Shannon's ex's life and the courtroom drama made her seem entangled in conflicts that weren't originally hers. Castmates whispered that Alexis was weaponizing her new romance, aligning herself with John during his legal war, and using their relationship as a platform to re-enter the RHOC orbit. The controversy deepened when Alexis and John announced their engagement in 2024. Instead of celebration, the news reignited criticism. Some accused her of clout chasing, suggesting that Alexis knew exactly how provocative her engagement would look given Shannon's ongoing presence on the show. Others argued she had every right to move forward with her life and shouldn't be judged by her partner's past. What made the situation particularly volatile was the history between Alexis and Shannon. They had never been close, and Alexis's relationship with John poured gasoline on old feuds. On screen, accusations flew that Alexis wasn't just dating John. She was actively leveraging his history with Shannon to stay relevant. If Alexis Bellino's relationship with John Jansen lit the match, her feud with Shannon Beer set the fire roaring. On The Real Housewives of Orange County, Shannon made it clear that Alexis's involvement with her ex was more than just uncomfortable, it was infuriating. The simmering tension boiled over when rumors surfaced that Alexis might have had access to, or even possession of, sensitive information connected to Shannon's DUI arrest. On camera, cast members hinted that Alexis, or people close to her, had receipts that could embarrass Shannon. Speculation focused on a video allegedly tied to the night of Shannon's accident and whether Alexis had ever threatened to use it. The accusation alone was enough to dominate headlines. Suddenly, Alexis wasn't just John's new fiancée. She was painted as someone who might be weaponizing private details for storyline advantage. The result was another layer of controversy that kept Alexis at the center of RHOC discourse. She wasn't just John Jansen's fiancée anymore. She was a lightning rod in Shannon's ongoing storyline, with rumors and suspicions fueling her return to relevancy. One of Alexis Bellino's defining traits on The Real Housewives of Orange County was her strong Christian faith. She frequently spoke about God, leaned on prayer during conflicts, and framed her marriage and parenting choices as rooted in her beliefs. For some fans, this made her relatable, even admirable. But for others, her public declarations of faith clashed with her behavior on the show, and that contradiction became a controversy all its own. Viewers questioned whether Alexis was using religion as a shield, especially when her lifestyle seemed at odds with her spiritual persona. She enjoyed designer clothes, expensive vacations, and a home that screamed opulence while simultaneously talking about humility and morality. Critics nicknamed her Jesus Jugs, a label both mocking her faith and her physical appearance. It was cruel, but it also reflected a real tension. Audiences saw a disconnect between Alexis's values and the glamorous, sometimes petty world of reality TV. Her castmates were often the harshest critics. Heather Dubrow and Tamara Judge called her phony for preaching one thing while living another. The more Alexis emphasized her devotion, the more Bravo edited scenes that painted her as out of touch or hypocritical. Instead of strengthening her image, her religious narrative became a storyline that producers and rivals alike used against her. Outside the show, Alexis continued to face skepticism. When she filed for divorce, her faith was again brought up as a point of contradiction. After her split from Jim Bellino, Alexis set out to reinvent herself. Divorce often comes with growing pains, but Alexis's reinvention was complicated by courtroom battles and public scrutiny. At the same time, Alexis explored business ventures, including fashion lines and beauty products. But critics questioned whether these projects were genuine entrepreneurial moves or attempts to stay relevant. The combination of divorce, lawsuits, and new ventures put her in a spotlight where success and failure were equally dissected. What was intended as reinvention often looked, from the outside, like yet another controversy to add to her list. Another recurring theme in Alexis's story is her changing appearance. She was candid about cosmetic procedures, admitting to rhinoplasty and breast augmentation, but speculation about what else she's had done has followed her for years. Castmates often mocked her, suggesting her polished image was part of a fake persona. The nickname Jesus Jugs wasn't just about faith, it was also a pointed jab at her surgeries. Alexis defended herself, saying she was comfortable with her choices and that women should feel empowered to make changes to their bodies. Still, her openness didn't silence critics. Instead, it fueled endless online chatter about whether she was too artificial. Once again, Alexis's personal choices became ammunition in the larger spectacle of RHOC. In recent years, Alexis has stepped back into Bravo conversations through her relationship with John Jansen and her occasional returns to the Housewives' orbit. Time away from the show hasn't erased her reputation. If anything, it has made her a nostalgic figure for fans eager to revisit past drama. Her controversies still follow her: the marriage critics, the lawsuit connections, the religious hypocrisy accusations, and now the Shannon Beer feud. Whether Alexis likes it or not, her name continues to spark debate. Some fans argue she deserves a redemption arc, pointing to her resilience through divorce and single motherhood. Others insist she thrives on chaos, always reappearing with another headline-grabbing twist. What's undeniable is her staying power. In a franchise where cast members come and go, Alexis Bellino remains a talking point over a decade later. That in itself is a kind of legacy, controversial, complicated, but lasting. The real question is, do these controversies define her, or do they highlight her resilience in a world that thrives on tearing people down? Love her or loathe her, Alexis has proven one thing: she knows how to stay part of the conversation. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the controversial side of Alexis Bellino, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next Housewives expose. Who should we cover next? Drop your suggestions in the comments. We might just take on your favorite reality TV star next time.